Hi, everyone. Welcome back to She Blurbs Podcast. Today's guest is Ty Flores. Hi, Ty.
Hi, what's up?
Thank you for coming on my podcast today.
No problem. Huge fan of your podcast.
Oh, thank you. So, Ty was born with cerebral palsy. She's a blogger and author of the new book series, Handy, Capable, and her book, James Ticking Time Bomb. So, can you tell our listeners a little bit about the type of cerebral palsy you have?
Well, I was born with spastic dysplasia and it affects one side of my body. It affects the left side more so than the right side, if you could see here.
Hmm.
So on my right side I have flexibility, but on my left side I don't have flexibility. But I never allowed that to take away from my will and determination. When I was born, I only weighed 2 pounds 3 ounces. Doctors told my mother and my grandfather at the time that I wasn't gonna live past 24 hours. But here I am, like 26 years later, still stomping on CP and still
Yeah.
stomping on the barriers that come my way.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, you are doing a lot of amazing things because you have a blog, you writing books, and you have your radio show. You're doing amazing things.
Thank you. And it's really cool that you say that, because when I was going to United Cerebral Palsy, which is an early intervention program for kids with cerebral palsy based all over the world, I went to the one in Bronx, New York. Shout out to all my classmates that still watch me, and we all keep in touch. And it was funny because I had to learn how to use an old-fashioned keyboard, an old-fashioned typewriter from back in the day, because my handwriting is so bad because of my CP. It looks like a kindergartner writes. So
That's
I had to learn how to write with a old-fashioned typewriter, and I used to have to write, "Hi, my name is Tylea Flores," 5 times with this little swan finger right here, and I hated it.
uh-huh.
And I would always tell myself, I'm not gonna be a writer. I'm not gonna use this. But fast forward to when I was 15 years old and first discovered that I had an interest in writing. I've been using it ever since, and that's been my tool to advocate, is a keyboard. Luckily, technology's advanced now, and I have the accessibility features, but that's basically my story.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Wow. So I did see your website on your your section called Writers Hub, and what are some of the topics that you blog about on there?
I blog about anything related to cerebral palsy, whether it be in the form of a blog post or whether it be in the form of poetry.
Oh, nice. Wait, you write poetry too?
Yes, I'm
Wow.
very poetic.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm gonna have to go on there and read some. Wow.
I've been published on Spillworks a ton of times, and mainly my focus for writing now is to spread awareness for cerebral palsy, because there's a lot of misconceptions about it, and
Oh, yeah.
I didn't like it. And by the time I was 18, I was fully ready to go out there and advocate, and I was fully accepting of my disability after publishing my first book, James Ticking Time Bomb, after a big tragedy happened in my life, which
Mhm.
also involved cerebral palsy. If we want to get into the first book and where it all began, I'm sorry that I'm scattering all over the
Oh no,
place.
it's perfectly fine. Like I did want to go off subject a little bit. So I did see that like you were in a relationship. If you want to talk about it, you're in a relationship, and I wanted to know how that is. Like how do you have a relationship with cerebral palsy? Like dating. Like how is it different from like people
Dating?
that don't have? Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. Here's a secret. It's basically the same thing. The only cool thing about it is that we're both on wheels, but it's basically the same thing. I think a relationship begins with trust and communication. And for the record, for those of you that are looking to date a writer and happen to be single, here's a word of advice: Don't get us mad, or else we'll write you in a story and kill you off.
I think that's what a lot of authors that I interviewed did. Like
No,
they make up people's.
I've done
it. That's funny. That's funny. So what inspired your book series Handy Capable?
What inspired my book series Handy Capable? Well, I was 25. This just happened this past May. I was 25 at the time, and we were going through the pandemic still, and I was working on it, I was drafting it, and I said, you know what? It's a good time for me to reflect on my life story, so why not write it in one whole book? And originally it was supposed to be one whole book called Why I Advocate, but then I got picked up by a wonderful lady named Shirley Lockett Alexander, and we just broke this series into 5 parts.
Oh, nice. Nice. So can you give our listeners like a brief summary of the 5-part book series?
Okay, so I'll give you a brief series on what the first one's about. The first one is about an introduction on my life and how I overcame the obstacles with cerebral palsy. As I like to say, I stomp on cerebral palsy and the barriers in front of me. The second one is a relationship advice book, and it's called Handy Capable Part 2, How to Get a Man on Wheels.
Nice. I like that.
So
I like that.
And then the third one is how I got into advocacy. The fourth one is how I got into radio. And this fifth one is the final chapter. And now I'm working on an updated one that should come out in 2022. That's my hopes. And I also have another fictional book that just recently got published called Maddie, and another book that focuses on disability and pop culture and film called Disability Nostalgia.
Oh, nice. Wow, you're doing a lot. So, what inspired your book, James Ticking Time Bomb?
Well, that goes all the way back to United Cerebral Palsy. As I said, I met so many great friends, and it so happens around the time that I was attending United Cerebral Palsy, I met a little young lad named Daniel, and me and Daniel became very close friends. But I moved to Florida shortly after graduating from United Cerebral Palsy, and we lost touch until we were both in the 8th grade, and one fateful day on MySpace. Do you remember MySpace?
Yeah, I remember MySpace.
I get a friend's request from him, and we just reconnected and we started talking. But then, shortly after, he got sick with a brain tumor, and then a year later, 2 months into my freshman year of high school, he passes away.
Aww, that's sad.
So So that was my inspiration for James, and it's funny, the story is pretty great how I got the inspiration for James. I'm in Barnes and Noble. I'm going through the teen fiction section. I'm drinking a Starbucks Frappuccino, a vanilla bean, and then all of a sudden I had this envision of me signing books, but I didn't know what book. So I went home and I wrote the first sentence of James. Hey, see that kid over there? And the rest is history.
That's awesome. So, you already gave us a brief summary of the book. Can you go a little bit more in detail? Like, does it tell your relationship with James, like your friendship and stuff?
No, basically the premises of this book is James Crimson. He became a father at 13 years old, and now he's 18 years old. And now he's trying to figure out what he wants to do before his time runs out because he was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh,
So the
wow.
whole story is him trying to put the pieces together of his life before he passes away, and having to leave his son Noah behind, who has a form of cerebral palsy that is mild.
Oh, okay.
You're
Wow.
looking at
So,
me like I wasn't expecting that one.
yeah, I wasn't at all. That is amazing. So, what advice would you give those who have cerebral palsy that want to pursue a writing career?
Go for it
Go.
and speak your truth and be the writer that you know you could be, because someone out there needs your story.
Yes, it's
That's
true.
what I always say.
That's true. I think your story is very inspiring. Like all the things that you've done, like getting in a radio, writing books, and dating, and other things. Like I feel like your story is very inspirational and it can help a lot of people.
Thank you.
Definitely. I want to thank you so much, Ty, for coming on my podcast today.
No problem.
You have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, I want to thank you all so much for listening to my interview with Ty. She's so sweet. And if you all would like to purchase her book or see what she has going on with her radio show, then I have linked it below. It's on my website. So if you go on my website and you look for Ty Flores, then it'll have her information on there with her book and her website and all that. So thank you all so much for supporting my podcast. Thank you all so much for listening. And I hope you all have a great day and make great choices. Bye.